But that's a lie. And now what we're doing to detect space is burning this throat because we're third-quarter thesis makes it all with this thick as portless.
The most powerful empires don't collapse from the outside.
Welcome to Timelines of Humanity 777. Today we uncover a story of pride, power, and collapse. The day an empire chose death instead of surrender. At the height of its power, this empire made one decision, a decision that guaranteed its destruction. History often tells us that empires fall because of enemies, but that's a lie. The most powerful empires don't collapse from the outside, they collapse from within. And in this story, one empire didn't just fall, it chose death instead of surrender. When Rome ruled the world, by the 2nd century AD, Rome controlled the largest empire the world had ever seen. From the cold lands of Britain to the burning deserts of the Middle East, its roads connected continents, its legions were unstoppable, its name inspired fear and loyalty. Rome had everything an empire could desire, everything except the ability to change, the fatal mistake. As Rome grew richer and more powerful, it faced a choice: adapt to a changing world or protect tradition at any cost. Rome chose tradition. It trusted old armies, old politics, old pride. While its enemies learned, evolved, and adapted, Rome stood still. Power turned into arrogance, and arrogance turned into blindness. Refusing to surrender. When invasions intensified, Rome still had options. It could negotiate, it could retreat, it could survive. But surrender was unthinkable. To Rome, surrender meant shame, and shame was worse than death. So it fought wars it could not win, with armies it could no longer afford, for borders that no longer mattered. The empire bleeds itself. Dry, endless wars emptied the treasury. Heavy taxes crushed the people. Loyalty vanished. Generals betrayed emperors. Emperors ruled for months, sometimes weeks. Rome was not destroyed by its enemies. It was destroyed by itself. By the time surrender seemed reasonable, the empire was already bleeding to death. The fall. In the year 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire quietly disappeared. No great final battle, no heroic last stand, only silence. The empire that once ruled the world was gone. Not because it lacked power, but because it refused to let go of it. Rome leaves behind a brutal lesson. Strength without flexibility is weakness. And sometimes, the decision to never surrender is the most dangerous decision of all, because history does not punish the weak. It punishes the stubborn. But the real question is not why Rome fell. The more dangerous question is why it refused to survive. The collapse was not sudden. It was slow, painful, and completely avoidable. The leaders of the Roman Empire saw the warnings. The economy was failing. The army was weakening. The people were breaking. But admitting failure felt worse than fighting another war. Rome could have changed. It could have reformed. It could have adapted. It could have let go. Just enough to live. But empires built on pride do not see compromise as wisdom. They see it as humiliation. So Rome kept fighting, not for victory, but for its image. Not for survival, but for honor. And in the end, it wasn't conquered by a single enemy. It was destroyed by its refusal to become something new in a world that had already changed. This is the lesson Rome leaves behind. Power does not guarantee endurance. Tradition without flexibility becomes a weapon turned inward. How many powers today are walking the same path? How many refuse to adapt, believing strength means never bending? At Timelines of Humanity 777, we don't tell history as a closed chapter. We tell it as a warning, as a mirror, as a question directed at the present. If you value stories that expose the hidden truths behind the rise and fall of civilizations, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because the next story may not be about an empire that collapsed centuries ago. It may be about one collapsing right now.